I'll call to order the August 6th, 2025 Merriam Planning Commission meeting. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Chair, before we get started, I do want to introduce Ms. Yolanda Jackson. As you all know, Nancy, as Yolanda put, has graduated, so she is retired. So Yolanda's shadowed Nancy for a month and a half, and then mid-July she took the reins over. She's done a fantastic job. We're glad to have her here and excited to have her on the team. And this is your first planning commission meeting, so I would ask that if the commissioners, please make sure you have your mics on. And if you think, before you make a motion, please say your name and I move, just for her to get familiar with your names and voices. So with that, I'll let you have the go on.
Good. Will the recording secretary please take roll?
Bill Bailey,
Here.
Nida Dillon, Mitchell Flower,
Here.
Russ Harmon,
Here.
Kelsey Kong, here, Sarah Limbacher, here, Sean McConnell,
Here.
Daniel Molina, Cole Stevens.
Here.
Thank you. First order of business, the commission members have received a copy of the minutes from the May 7th, 2025 meeting. Are there any comments or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
Sean McConnell, I would move to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission's May 7th, 2025 meeting.
Do I have a second?
Mitchell Fowler, I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Business to be conducted this evening is PUD 25-0000004, change in use and associated preliminary development plan for property located at 7220 West Frontage Road. Mr. Dyer.
Evening, Chair, Commissioners, Brian Dyer, Community Development Director. Seeing this application for you is a change of use to add automobile dealership and services, no outside services, to the address at 7220 West Frontage Road. It's up there on your map right now. Just walk you through it real quickly. It is in between I-35 and the railroad. I-35 is there to the right hand or to the east side. The railroad is located to the west side, the left-hand side. To the north is Zone Planning Development General. That is the Evelyn Brothers Automobile Collision Repair Facility. And then to the south is also Zone Planning Development General with a HVAC contractor, an office area, as well as another automobile repair place. The applicant this evening is Walzer Automotive. They're are the applicant and the property owner. They purchased the property in June of this year. They're being represented by Slag and Associate Architects and BHC Engineering. The purpose of this request obviously is to add have a new automobile dealership. It'll be a Genesis nameplate. That is the high-end nameplate for the Hyundai Corporation. They're continuing to build 21,000 square foot new automobile dealership, and then the existing warehouse, the 14,000 square foot warehouse that sits behind the building, will remain And I believe the tenant will also remain there as well. I'll walk through that here in just a second on that. A little bit more history about this site. Back in 1993, the previous owner came before the city and requested a change in zoning to planning and development general, as well as approval of preliminary development plan for the 60,000 square foot building. It's the large building that you see on the right-hand side or the east side of the property. The next activity, or the next zoning change that happened in this was in 2013, when another change of use was requested and approved by the city. That was a change of use to add automotive services to this location. And then in 2016 was the last significant development change with this, with the approval of the 14,000 square foot building, which is, like I said, located on the left-hand side or there on the west side of the property. This is a change of use, so the planning commission as well as city council needs to consider the golden factors when they review this. Golden factors are within your staff report. I will highlight a couple of them. I've already talked a little bit about the character of the neighborhood. This is in a high intensity neighborhood, obviously sitting between one of the most busiest interstates in Kansas, as well as the DNS Air Railroad. And then the surrounding uses are predominantly automotive in nature as well. As you go further to the north here, you start into our newer automobile dealerships with the Merriam, Hyundai, the Nissan Infiniti dealership, Toyota, Lexus, as well as the new Mercedes dealership there, very close proximity to the north of this. Another golden factor is the surrounding zoning. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's PUDG, Planning and Development General, which is the same zoning classification as the subject property. And the final thing I'll touch on the golden factor is conformance with the master plan. The master plan, your Merriam Comprehensive Plan 2040, does show that this property is suitable or designated as a general commercial use. So walking through the development plan, this is the existing conditions. I'll point out a number of things here on the screen. So obviously the large gray box, this is the 60,000 square foot building. This building will be demolished. It's the big one on the right hand side. This building is going to be demolished and be, the location of the new dealership will be here. The building that's again behind it, the 14,000 square foot warehouse building, as I mentioned earlier, will remain, and the tenants will remain. There are two existing connections to West Frontage Road that located here on the north side and then on the south side. These will not change, they will remain in place. The other thing where we're looking at here, I want to point out is the large amount of right-of-way on here, and this is KDOT right-of-way for the frontage road. It's about 100 to 100 feet between 50 to 100 feet between the property lines and the back of curb of West Frontage Road. So obviously that's an extensive amount of green space that really is not available to the applicant for development. And then the other thing I want to point out down here is at the bottom left-hand side of the southwest corner of the property. That is the existing detention area. I want to point out that the applicant did provide a stormwater memo that stated that first of all, there's going to be about a 2% reduction in impervious surface with the redevelopment of this site, and the detention pond, the existing detention pond has enough capacity to handle the stormwater runoff from this site per Merriam standards. And the other thing I want to mention, back on traffic, the applicant also submitted a traffic memo that was provided, signed and sealed by a professional engineer, that stated, not surprisingly, that with the significant reduction in the amount of square footage on this site, we'll also see a significant reduction in the amount of traffic generated from the site. So there was no need for any additional traffic improvements. So walking through the site plan, a little bit more detail here. Just a second, you'll notice up here, again, this will be the new building. This is the existing building that will remain. Down here is the stormwater detention area. The existing entrance points are here. The building will be primarily, oriented east to west. The back building, or the existing building, will maintain access in pretty much the same fashion it does now. There will be a pretty good demarcation between the two areas of the two businesses. Again, they're going to be platted as one lot and owned by the same folks. but there is gonna be a retaining wall located here, a short retaining wall here, as well as a parking lot here. So there will be a pretty good delineation between the two properties. So looking a little bit more at the landscape plan, extensive amount of landscaping on the site. They're providing about a 19% green space for the interior, and a significant 39% of the whole site is gonna be green space. So a lot of green space on this. They will be providing landscaping that is very typical of what we've seen with our other automobile dealerships in this area. They'll provide low-lying landscaping on the front, along the parking lot. Also be providing street trees there, clumped to the south as well as the north. Be having foundation plantings as well as interior parking lot plantings. I do want to also point out, it's a little bit tough to see, but they are showing some plantings that will be done in the KDOT right away. They are fully aware of this. The applicants already had discussions with KDOT about those plantings. KDOT's initial indication was that they would be fine with it. However, a condition of approval, a recommended condition of approval for the site, for this plan is that they provide verification that they have got the approval from KDOT for that landscape. They also provided a turning template that should demonstrates that trucks can and navigate the parking lot fine. And they also have added a note on the face of the plan to say there was no loading or unloading of vehicles in the right of way. Going on to the architectural elevations, again, the top one is the west elevation, so that's the back elevation. Then the next one down here is the south elevation. You can see an extensive amount of glazing that is going to be on the main showroom area, and also you can, as you go down one more, that's the north elevation. Again, extensive amount of glazing, very much in the same feel and form as many of the other car dealerships to the north. And then the very bottom rendering, that is the rendering for the east elevation that will be facing frontage road. Again, as you can see, extensive amount of glazing, materials, colors, very much again in line with what our existing automobile dealerships are to the north. I do want to point out signage. While there is minimal signage on there, they do have two signs on the east facade. They're definitely under the 5% level that is allowed by the sign code. However, as you all know, sign code does state you should have one sign per facade unless a deviation from the sign code through a sign plan is granted by the planning commission, again, which is what the application is part of, includes. And then the other signage I want to point out is this is proposed pylon monument sign that will be located right here. This pylon sign is 40 feet, proposed sign is 40 feet in height, which is about 5 feet higher than, taller than what is allowed per code. However, as we're all familiar with, it fits right in with what has occurred on the other signs that are to the north here, automobile pylon signs. Essentially, with the establishment of the Toyota sign, established the top of the sign of these future signs would be approximately 1,030 feet above sea level, which is exactly what is occurring here. All these signs that you see here, including the one at the very top, which is the new proposed sign for Genesis, are approximately 1,030 feet above sea level. And again, as you can see, size-wise, shape-wise, massing-wise, the sign there at the top is very, very similar to the existing signs that are, again, as I mentioned earlier, to the north. Final thing I do want to point out and talk about is one of the recommended conditions of approval. This property, the legal description of it has partial lots, and as you all probably as we're all familiar with, when we have significant redevelopment of property, we like to get those legal descriptions to be singular lots, not partial lots. And the applicant understands that one of the conditions of approval, a recommended condition of approval, is that a final plat application be provided for this property, and they submitted it today. So you will be seeing that on next month's planning commission agenda. The last thing I want to mention, I forgot to mention earlier, is that they are also going to be providing stormwater BMPs, best management practices for the site. Like them shown on the preliminary development plan, they will be shown that on the final development plan. BMPs, stormwater has two aspects to it. It has water quantity, that's the detention pond, and then water quality, that is the BMPs. And so they will be showing the installation of BMPs as part of the final development plan. Again, that's another condition of approval for this plan. With that, staff would be happy to answer any questions for the planning commission.
Commission, do you have any? Commission, do you have any questions for
Yeah,
staff?
I got a question. Did the applicant provide a specific, need or reason for their sign being 1.5 feet taller than Toyota's?
They did not, I'm guessing, and I'm sure the applicant can attest to it, and my experience is that those signs are standard signs, kind of like you go buy a 10-foot 2x4 at Home Depot, they come in a standard size, and that is most likely the case, but the applicant can probably speak to that as well. Those are, they usually are cookie cutter, and they, for a variety of reasons, one of them is cost control, kind of have standard size signs. So, but
I'll ask them when they have their opportunity.
Yep.
My question was actually also about signage. Is there any signage for that will be or that exists for the building behind, the new build? And is that going to be changing in any way, or?
There is no existing signage back there for that building. They are not proposing any new signage for that building. That building, is, a floor covering company, warehouse installation. They also have a showroom in there, but they do not currently have any signage out on Frontage Road, and, the applicant does not propose any additional signage for that building.
But they will then be owning that building as well?
Correct, it
Okay.
will be, yes. So, just to be clear, the applicant Walzer will own, both the new building and the existing building that will remain.
Sarah Limbacher, is any of the site in the current floodplain?
It is not.
Okay, so there's no plan in place, like one of the previous dealers where we had the evacuation in case, okay.
You are correct, there was a previous dealer for a, storage lot that needed that in place. This is not, essentially, in very broad terms, the floodplain stays on the west side of the train tracks.
Okay.
This is William Bailey. Is the new sign, it's LED lights?
I'm assuming it's gonna probably be backlit like the other lights signs, so, very similar to the newest sign they have where there's Hyundai. So it should be internally illuminated, but, can probably address that as well.
LED?
You don't know what the internal illumination is, but yeah.
Well, that's the applicant. Okay, does the trash dumpster enclosure match the building?
Yes, it does. Yep. Essentially, it's gonna be very much the tilt-up skin that is shown on the darker gray areas.
Any further questions from the commission? Does the applicant wish to, make a presentation? State your name, address, and phone number, please.
Chairman, members of the planning commission, my name is Scott Slotty.
Here we go. My apologies, Mr. Chairman. Members of the planning commission, my name is Scott Slotty, Slotty Architects, located at 4600 Madison, Suite 350, Kansas City, Missouri. I've had the good fortune of being before you on many of these projects. It's good to see you all here again. Also with me tonight are Eric Bird and Aryan Kadir, who are with BAC Engineering. So if you have any questions of them, I'm sure they'll be happy to come up here and visit with you. Mr. Brian did a fine job explaining the ins and outs of this project, and I appreciate the overview, Mr. Dyer. I'm just going to hit on a couple of high points, maybe answer some questions you had asked us to address. First off, I want to show not just the rendered site plan here, because Mr. Dyer is correct that we've added much more landscaping than was there previously, and the building is essentially 1/3 the size of the building that's there now. It's also important to note that, yes, the owners do control both the building behind and the new dealership in front. So there will be an easement that they'll have within the development for truck traffic to get to the flooring business that's behind on both the north and the south side. That will continue to be open even during construction, so they can operate back there. And also, they will not be adding any more signage what they have right now. The monument sign we're showing out front of the totem sign is just for the dealership. We didn't think it was important for them to have a presence along the frontage, so it's just for the Genesis dealership. Now, Genesis, as mentioned, is a premium brand of Hyundai, and they're currently located in a temporary facility on Metcalf, on 77th and Metcalf, in an old Mazda dealership. So they're anxious to relocate because they're selling a lot of cars. So it's encouraging to know they're actually operating very, very well. Also, I'd like to go to the next slide here. Brian, are you controlling that? Thank you. What I've got for you today is not just elevations, because they're hard to read, right? We have some 3D renderings we can show you that I think will do a much better job explaining the massing of the building, and we think is a really attractive building when it's all said and done. As mentioned, yes, there are colorways that they use for all their locations, where they have essentially a prototype, and they like to stick with that each location across the country. That also includes the signage, by the way. As mentioned, the height of the sign was. That is a sign they actually lease from a national brand, so it comes that way. If they were to modify it somehow, that I guess affects the branding integrity of the dealership. So there is a 1.5 foot difference. We're hopeful that you'll approve that as is, so we do not have to modify it in any special way. Next slide, please. So the plan, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. You've seen it time and time again. It has a built-in car wash, quick service, even a nice, and very interesting, by the way, Zen garden that's inside the space, that's next to the restrooms. So I think because of their origin, their ethnicity of South Korea, they like to show some things that speaks to their history and culture. So it'll be a very interesting facility on the inside, very, very modern in its execution. Next slide, please. Again, as mentioned, we utilized the very same criteria that was developed for all the dealerships, with which we had the good fortune of doing for this dealership as well. So we're being consistent that they're all the same height from sea level. So I think that's important, I think, for how they all will be appearing along the highway. Next slide, please. And again, that is our standard signage that we were given from them rather, that we have to then apply to their dealership. Next slide, please. So you can probably get orientation here. Your view is looking west by southwest. And so you're seeing, you're coming in the entry from the north side into the facility. And as Mr. Dyer mentioned, there's a lot of glass that actually is not just in the showroom, but wraps all the way around the building as a clear story. So it allows natural light to come through really on all sides of the building. Next slide, please. This orientation will be from the west looking east. Strike that. You're from the north looking south. With the parking that we're showing that is separated by an island that separates them from the ProSource building to the west. Next slide, please. This is again looking to the north. Next slide. Facility now is looking to the northwest. And as mentioned, there's landscaping that will be running within the right-of-way. We fully understand that if something were to happen where KDOT wanted to somehow expand their operation, we would have to remove that landscaping. But I believe our landscaping still meets your minimum requirements on site. Next slide, please. Here's an entrance from more like the pedestrian scale as you're driving into the facility. Again, a lot of natural light will be allowed into the showroom. And then next slide, please. Looking from the other side, looking northwest. Landscaping, convenience and parking. Next slide. This parking is located on the south side of the facility with a new car delivery. Next slide. Where the service ride-up would be, where you bring your cars in to be serviced, and the showroom to the left of it. Then a view from the highway. This is a great location for them because unlike the other dealerships, you don't have a Jersey barrier that blocks your view. So as folks are heading northbound, they'll be able to see the building more readily than the other dealerships, which is great for them, but it's also important that we're consistent with the signage all the way along that corridor, which we've shown, I think, in our presentation. And with that, I will leave it to any more questions you may have.
Commission, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Just one question of clarification. There's logic behind why I'm concerned about sign heights and ever creeping heights within signage, and I understand that that's locked in by Genesis, et cetera. In terms of your elevations for the footing for that sign, there's no way to adjust that, any of that amount of height within that arena as opposed to their actual sign, because you have control over those items.
Well, unlike other totems where you have some discretion, you'll notice that it comes all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, I noticed that. I just didn't know if that was rendering or literal.
That's how they like to do it. A lot of totems, this has been a problem with other locations, that when you define a totem, a lot of folks will consider that being just a singular pole that comes down and hits the ground. I don't think any of us like the way that looks. In this case, they've already designed it so it has essentially an established base that comes all the way down, which we think is much more attractive. So what you'd be asking us to do is to essentially bury their skin into the ground.
Yeah, effectively, sure, or change the elevation at that location.
But then it goes into sort of a sinkhole.
I get it.
So
No, I
that's
understand
a
all those
challenging.
things. I'm just asking the questions. I appreciate that.
And I appreciate your comments.
In regards to that, I would like to bring up a point after this in terms of that signage elevation standard, or if it is a standard, and then if it should be a standard, so that we don't see a continuous creep in height. Oh, you know, they were 133, we'll go 134. I know it's nitpicky, but, you know, there's been a lot of work on signs over the last 2 decades.
And I will, we have the conversation right now, the heights do vary on all of them there, and it really was set by, the Toyota sign, which was a different time period, because that was a very different project and situation that we were in, and I think there was already readily acknowledged at that time, decade plus now, that was gonna set the marker for there. So that's, I think it is aesthetically nice that everything is the same size, and pretty much they're all the pylon, the straight up and down, not the crazy signs, so yeah.
They're also pretty far apart from each other, so I think you'd be kind of hard pressed to know whether one's taller than the other from your viewpoint.
Understood.
I have a question about trucks delivering cars. Where will they be pulling in to drop those off? Because they're not allowed to do that on that frontage road.
If you go back to site plan, thank you, Mr. Dyer. Both drive lanes coming in from the south and the north are wide enough to accommodate a car carrier, because obviously it's no more egregious to handle a car carrier than it is to have a 55-foot semi-trailer coming in there. But their intent is for it to come on the north side. And we've done a truck template, as was mentioned in the report, so that it can easily navigate around its site without even going into the ProSource building
Okay.
to the west.
And it would
So
still
it's
allow
actually-
that other driveway to be open for people to access.
That's
the
right, so
crosswalks.
it'd
Okay.
be off-site. And we made the drive lanes around the building wider than typical because of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question, by the way.
Any other questions by the commission? William Bailey. I asked a question about the sign being LED. The reason I asked the question, because of light color matching for degrees, is it going to be similar to what's out there, which is either daylight 6,000 K, 27K, 42K, if LED lighting is going to be used?
I'll be honest with you, I do not know what the Kelvin, what the color temperature is. I'm pretty certain it's LED. Whether it matches the color temperature of the pole lights, I don't know, but I'm guessing it will, or we can certainly make sure that it does. but I don't know the particulars of the housing of the monument sign.
Plus the other monument signs that be around the area. I mean, you don't want one out here being white, one out here being yellow, one out here being super white.
So for my own edification though, it's backlit, so the LEDs sit inside and there's a film or subcovering that you see from, so you actually don't see the LED lights, correct?
That's right, it's a Duratrans type of plastic, so it's cloudy, if you will. So you don't see the direct light source. It's just kind of glowing.
Doesn't matter, it's the Kelvin temperature of the light.
Sorry, I do not know that, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna find out for you.
Sure would like to know that. I'm assuming you'll be using what's called a 6,000 K. I'm not the designer, you tell us. Right, Brian?
We'll definitely work with them to make sure that
Yes.
they provide information that's similar to the existing signs up there.
Yes. Just kind of want them to match in a little bit, you know, in the area, as people would come back. So anyway, does the commission have any other questions for the applicant?
Sorry, Kelsey, and I apologize, I didn't say that earlier, Kelsey Cohn. For the service department, is there a special place that you guys have planned for like oil change, capturing of all of that material? And there's no in-ground bays, correct? They're lifts?
We'll have a sand oil separation facility
Okay.
there that captures all that. That's required by
Sure.
law and by code.
Okay,
There's a quick lube service. If you look at the building, how it has these two,
yeah.
where to go?
Mm-hmm,
So all the lube work would be done inside the service department. And that's where we would house where the oil would be, all the
Sure.
lubricants.
are the bays, like the cars are being lifted, or are they digging down in for, do you know?
You know, they don't do that as much anymore.
Okay,
They dig
okay.
down, but they're all on overhead lifts.
Okay,
Yeah, and then that little building that's in the northwest corner is a photo bay. It's a 360 photo bay. So as they bring cars in, whether they're new cars or used cars, they'll bring them in there and they'll photograph them to be able to post on their website. That's what that facility is there. And the car wash that's shown on the west side.
So this is way Bailey. Go further with her question, you don't have an oil water separator?
We do.
Okay.
Well, it's called sand oil. That's what the terminology is. Yes, sir.
And so any of your oil products are pumped from tanks inside the building?
That's right. There'd be a dedicated facility. It's hard to read it, but it's, I don't have a way to, maybe I can't point to it. You know, Brian can.
is it the oil and air one?
It's to the left, Brian, there we go. So in there, we'll have drums, if you will, that'll accept the product.
Any other questions from the commission?
Sarah Limbacher. On the parking study, I'm just curious, it said there's 5 accessible stalls, but I'm only seeing 4 called out. Am I missing one of them? There's the 4 up front by the entranceway.
You may have to go
So
back.
is the fifth one, and it probably didn't show, it may be for the pro source.
Okay.
I don't think it shows up, but we also, just to let you know, when we do permit review, we do the same review again, but I'm guessing the pro source is where the other ones are.
Okay.
Any more questions for the applicant from the commission?
Thank you.
Not public hearing, it's public hearing. That's good, let me open this for public hearing on this item. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to make a comment? Yes. State your name, address, and phone number, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Billy Crowns, 6633 West Street, and 913-303-1930. Members of the Planning Commission, I'm not here to speak to Strawberry Hill Provetizia. I'm sad to see them go, but they're moving on. I'm here to speak to the 7 of you who came tonight. This building was home to a truly unique local business since about 2012, I believe. The kind of business that we say we want more of in this city. It was a regular tour stop. It welcomed community members, hosted police events, and gave people a reason to visit Merriam, something special, something made here. Now it's being torn down, and while I do respect the rights of the property owner, they pay their taxes, this is their land, I think we need to be honest about what we're losing. We're not just clearing a site, we're erasing a unique landmark, a custom-built facility that served a distinctive purpose and added character and value to our community beyond simple dollars. And for what? Another car dealership? That's not progress, it's redundancy. This city already has become overly dependent on a single industry. That's dangerous, and we all know it. When the auto market slows, we all feel it. We should be encouraging economic diversity, local food makers, artisans, innovators, not deepening our reliance on one volatile sector. And no offense to Genesis, by the way. It looks very nice, the rendering in the building and all that. So let me be clear, if this land is to be redeveloped, it must be done without a dime of public money. No incentives, no abatements, no special treatments. I haven't heard any requests yet for TIF or CIB or I or all of them. But you don't get to bulldoze a meaningful, unique Merriam landmark and then ask taxpayers to help pay for the replacements. So, as this project is the desire of the property owners, I do urge this commission to approve it as requested and without additional regulatory burden. Thank you so much.
Is there any more public comments anywhere, anybody? I'll close this public hearing. Does the commission have any additional questions for staff? Do we have a motion for approval? Don't be bashful.
Sarah Limbacher, I motion to approve. And they'll be able to do the. Thank you. I was not ready. Motion to approve, PUD 25-000004, change in use and preliminary development plan for a Genesis automobile dealership. With all staff recommendations.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Sean McConnell?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Mr. Dart.
Yes, sir, I will run down the kind of the news of the, how development is going. First of all, Merriam Marketplace, that is the newest development that you all recommend approval of. City Council approved it. That project is underway. The city has purchased the library properties you already know. The Drake is in the process of, they closed on Friday of purchasing the Chipotle and Shell building. So all the purchases have occurred. They have already submitted building permit plans for the Shell, for the Trader Joe's buildings. That has been done. Obviously demos occurred, more demo is going to continue and be in the way. That project is going forward and is continuing moving forward as we expected. Across the street, Grand Station is very close to being done. The last thing is the Shake Shack. We anticipate that being done in mid-September. And then utility undergrounding. You may have noticed that the poles on Shawnee Mission Parkway have gotten shorter. They're still there. Evergy is off the poles. They are all their work on that is done. They're underground and in the ground, so that is done. So the remaining work that needs to be done is the telecommunication. There are 3 companies that are on there. You'll see the 3 lines of them that are on there. They have been setting, the various companies have been setting conduit to get their stuff down in the ground. Again, looking for a September timeframe when they're off the poles, and hopefully then the poles can be removed. So that continues to be going along.
Hey, Brian?
Yeah.
In regards to that, does it appear that those utilities are going to coordinate their destruction of areas for conduit? Are they going to all do that separately at different times, most likely?
So we are We do have, and we are overseeing, we did put together, with the utilities and with the city, essentially a master plan for who's gonna be where on there and all the conduit. So there is coordination going along with that. Coordination of getting them all out there at the same time, do it at the same time, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother ballgame.
I'm perfectly happy with the former, yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be
so
good.
just having them out there doing the work, that's a hurrah. But no, we did coordinate, and there was a lot of coordination at the very start of it, detailed plans of who's gonna be where, and so that's been, like I said, proceeding, we're done, but we still have to do the work.
So they're pushing their own conduit underground?
Yeah, they will. Yep.
Cause I see some orange ones sitting out there.
Yeah, they had it strung out all over the place, and, the other day when I went by, they looked like they were, I don't know who it was, which telecom it was, but they looked like they're getting close to hopefully start putting some in the ground. So, but with that, yeah.
Another question.
Yeah.
Since they've got the, transformer and sectionalizer sitting out there with high voltage or medium voltage, is there gonna be any, postcards put around any of that?
No.
So that, cars don't wipe it out?
Evergy does not, that would be up to them, they have not said anything about doing anything like that. They, as you know, have their own standards for clear space around those things, so they, always.
I know what the dimension is.
Yeah, we have a tug of war with them between where landscaping needs to go and how far it needs to stay away, and, when they wanna make sure, understandably, they wanna make sure that they have the ability to open doors and technicians can get in there, and, so. But
Yeah,
long story to say that would be an Evergy decision.
Has the city made any request to Evergy for vehicular protection?
No, I don't believe so. Again, we would defer to Evergy as their equipment and to what they feel is appropriate for it.
Let me redirect that. Should would it be to the best interest of the city to ask Evergy what they thought about if the city wanted to put up some vehicular barriers?
So I would think that if there was a desire for the city, if they saw a need, in the future, as traffic patterns settle down over there to do something like that, I'm confident the city would approach Evergy and ask, if the city could install something like that and what the standards are. So yes, if a need arose.
Okay, so last question for right now. Is that electrical equipment, is that on, well, I know it's on KDOT right away.
It may not be, there's a significant easement that is on the south side.
Okay, is it far enough away in case Shawnee Mission Parkway gets expanded a couple of lanes?
So that is an excellent question. It is, I'm confident it is, they're out of the right of way, so, and we also had, them, when we did the design, to look at if we needed to put in an additional lane on there to make sure there was space.
You're confident, but do you know?
We should have. I do know we had those conversations, and I've seen plans.
Can you back check that
Yeah,
for the
I'll take
commission?
a look at it again, but I'm confident that, because we had originally shown the potential of a dedicated right turn lane eastbound Shawnee Mission Parkway to go southbound Antioch, and we for sure, made sure, had those as part of the plans, when, they laid out all of the infrastructure.
Okay, so I do have a last question. I'll always come up with questions for you to answer, Brian. The northwest traffic pole has a set of lights that operate red, green, and whatever, that I don't know what the purpose of them are. it's tilted 45 degrees in. Was there a turning lane there at one time on the Shawnee Mission Parkway?
Which, you said northwest corner of,
Be the northwest pole.
Ikea Way and Shawnee Parkway?
No, Shawnee Mission Parkway and Antioch.
Okay.
Sorry, a little obtuse there. I'll get you home in here. So what it is you got a pole sets like this,
Right,
and you see the lights over here as you pull into, pull up to the intersection.
right.
Here's a set of lights right here. It's the only pole that has a set of lights.
I do not know the answer to that as to why that's there.
I guess it's Mid-America.
Yeah, it's Mid-American GADOT, so yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. It's kinda strange. It can throw you off, I can tell you that right now. Okay, so anyway, okay. Go ahead, Brian.
That was, I'm happy to answer any additional more questions about any kind of development things or anything that's going on.
Any suitors for the other spaces at this point?
No, but we're anticipating, we will have plenty of interest. So, we've not, we're concentrating right now on getting, the Trader Joe's off and going.
Okay, next.
Sean McConnell, just follow up to the sign.
Yeah, I was gonna,
Yeah,
hopefully
so-
go back to that.
Yeah, so, you know, to me, it's a question of, is there a practical reason to set a maximum elevation off of that, you know, above sea level to you know, 1335 or whatever it is, because, you know how these things evolve, you're gone, you know, I'm afraid of continuously creeping in height.
Right.
And I would rather set a limit to that unless we believe there's an impractical nature to that based on the, you know, I mean, obviously those signs are that height because there's a
Right.
significant dip off
That's
like
exactly
35.
what that is, exactly.
And I
right.
get that, and I know there's some elevation changes from a northerly to southerly distance as well. So, you know, again, looking to see if that's even practical before we would ever do anything about that.
So obviously, whoever sits in this chair in the future will have access to our staff reports, and the staff reports, hopefully whoever here does their due diligence, the staff reports always go through talking about the signs. The staff reports also always include, every time they come in, we make, whoever the applicant, I mean, it's like, provide us with that analysis of signs on there, so. You know, I feel that we've done a good very well documentation of why they're that high. And the variability on there, is based out of the fact that they are cookie cutter signs. They really have a tough time making them a different size. So that's why if you look at the analysis, some are a little bit shorter, some are a little bit taller.
There's nothing to prevent them then from continuing to make those cookie cutter signs as an excuse to go, oh, sorry, our signs only are 50 feet.
So I would say.
60 feet.
Right, no, I would say that a variability of that much from staff's perspective would be something we would wanna point out.
Okay.
And from staff's perspective, I'm not gonna lay out a number, but there's a number, and it's not a not a very big number, but if there's a deviation higher than that, staff is gonna have a problem.
And
And we're gonna, and staff will have a conversation with the planning commission, and you all ultimately have the ability to say, yeah, no, that needs to be shorter, so, staff, you know,
to be clear, I'm not concerned about the current staff. You guys have, I have no concerns about whether that would be caught or, you know, brought up in the process. I'm only concerned about the future.
understand, but I would like to think that we've done a good job of documenting it and understanding, because exactly the reason you gave is exactly why it does that, is because there's huge variability. Toyota was in a hole, and it was a different time, and so, but yeah, I appreciate that, but again, I hope that whoever sits in this chair will do their due diligence and understand why it's that way, and understand that, you know, we can't run amok.
My concerns are alleviated.
And the commission requests that we review that in full committee.
Well, I think what the commission would like, I think you can make a statement of exactly, you know, what planning commissioner McConnell made, said of, hey, we see it and we are going to be watching it and mindful of it, and we expect future signs to be, very close to the existing signage. I think that's a perfectly good statement to make.
I firmly, stand behind that statement that was just made by Brian.
So, again, just if there's a, you know, a consensus there, if someone else has any comments about that, but if there's a consensus there, we can certainly, make that part of the meeting, the meeting minutes.
Yes, and so I will make a statement. This was brought up back 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Really started with Toyota, which was almost 15.
15 years ago. Time flies. And then we had further discussions in regards to that we did not want to increase the vertical height of any monument sign. And then we gave approval to Toyota, right?
Toyota was the first one.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't remember
Then
which
we went
one.
on to Hendricks, I believe it was, and approved theirs.
Toyota's was the tallest up until now.
Because I think the discussion was if my platters are now being loaded into my hard drive. It's a joke, folks, you can laugh or not, but I do have a memory of this. Lexus, that was it. Yeah, Hendricks Lexus. They came in and said that, their sign would not be very visible from the highway unless we granted them the full height. You remember that statement?
Yeah, it was, I would say it was probably Toyota, because they were the first one, and Toyota's the one that sits in the hole.
Yeah, so that kind of opened up Pandora's box for all the discussion on that. And it's kind of easy if we, as a commission, want to go back and tell Brian, we're not going to accept anything other than, you know, we're not gonna go 1.5 feet higher, we're not gonna go 2 feet higher, we're not gonna go 3 feet higher, just because some owner wants to have a bigger sign, we're not gonna do that.
And I hear that, and I can definitely, unless there's other dissenting viewpoints, and again, not anticipating anything coming in anytime soon, and if something does come in soon, I think the person that would bring it in is sitting in the audience, so, I think, yeah, I think you'd be, planning staff here is planning commission.
So we're gonna be at some point talking about Trader Joe's sign.
No, Trader Joe's doesn't have a sign like this.
They're on the corner.
They have a run-of-the-mill monument sign.
Yes. So we're gonna be talking about that, okay, and what's gonna be allowed. So I'll just tell the commission that that's coming down the pike. And I don't know what size that monument sign is going to be.
Just, you approved the monument signage, you approved all the signage with the development plan.
Yes.
It's all baked in and their signage is done. And it is a standard, they're just standard monument signs, kinda like what's across the street.
Sometimes wrong and wrong isn't right, but
Could be a lot.
we get to what we need to get to keep the ball rolling, keep the city moving. So, okay. What other business is going on, Brian?
That's all I have. Sure.
If I'm hearing rumbles from up on the north, should that be off the record and talk to
You
you?
can talk to me about whatever you other concerns you might have, sure.
Are we on the record? Okay. Is Home Depot going to put in a skid loader area?
They've not talked to us about anything like that, no.
Because we didn't approve anything up there other than just sales and not skid loader equipment sales. So just be aware that
So in the past, they
They're
have,
rumbles.
yeah, in the past, they have approached the city as well as the planning commission for that. And so that isn't, about every 5 years, they approach and have idea of selling, equipment in the parking lot.
any unfinished business?
No, sir.
I have a question for Brian. Mitch Fowler. Our newly acquired properties from Merriam Lane, that would be north of the city market? Yeah. What are the, I heard rumors and I read something briefly about plans for that. How far is that going?
So those properties have been purchased and they, are gonna be demoed. And then, we talked about before, we're working still with the Corps of Engineers for flood mitigation program for downtown. Once there is a path, a direction, for what that flood mitigation looks like, those properties will be, the purchase of those properties with the intent of being part of the flood mitigation, project. So, say the back portion of the properties need to be for flood mitigation, be used for flood mitigation, and then, hopefully development for the rest of it. So, purchase of those properties are all related to, hopefully, flood mitigation project.
So we'll take that a little further, Mitch. It's called the 8701 project.
57.
5701.
57. I'll get my numbers right. I'm old. I heard it went dormant in the Corps of Engineers.
Trust me, I meet with them way too much, so it is not.
Okay, that's not dormant. Okay, so is there a committee that's together for the city to do reviewing with the Corps and all that, or is it just all internal?
We continue to wait for the Corps to put together 65% plans, at which time they will actually have some, hard estimates and cost numbers. And at that point in time, will be the city, will make, the council will review and determine where they wanna go next with it. But that is the next big milestone.
So the Corps hasn't indicated yet when they're gonna release the estimates for 65%.
We are hoping,
drawings.
the first of next year.
January 1.
First of next year. Could be
A lot of
January
years.
1, February 1, March 1.
I'm going to say 1/1/2026.
We're looking first, I would say first quarter of next year is the most I will pin it down.
Oh, we wanna go 3/1.
But again, until they show up, who knows?
That, do you have a committee? It's formed.
So I do not know if, how the council will go forward with it. I don't know if they'll reactivate the 5701 committee. I do not know how they anticipate that. Again, I think we're all just waiting for the next milestone to see what it looks like and what it costs.
When you said activate 5701,
That could be a potential. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do.
in other words, they'll create a committee.
Well, they have an existing one, they could just.
No, they have an existing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there openings on that committee?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay. And then KDOT, remediation people and everything will be at the show to do all the remediation at some point. Do you have a date on there yet?
So we anticipate the tanks to be taken out starting Monday.
Okay.
It'll be a two-step process, so the tanks come out first, and then after that's done by the current owner, KDHE and remediation will begin after that. So it's two steps.
they'll test the soil and do whatever they have to do and issue the remediation report. Okay. What about the little garage that was, or the car wash that was turned into an auto repair?
It'll be demoed.
Yeah.
The only
They're
thing-
gonna test anything?
Oh, yeah, they'll KDHE, they already have wells out there and they're monitoring, so they will make sure everything's cleaned up to standards.
Bear with me for that, I might have questions that come to me from the public. So the work on the overhead 13A, it's complete.
Yes.
I was a little surprised that that work didn't take that overhead a little further in all directions. I just,
Financial decision, at some point in time, the money, gotta stop.
you only get one shot, you know? So, it just kind of caught me by surprise. That, there's still some overhead around. Like, Trader Joe's, there's
So
still.
that will be, just with part of Trader Joe's, that will be one of them.
Okay, so they're gonna rework those feeders.
On that side of, Antioch, between Antioch and Trader Joe's, those will be in there.
Okay. That's good news. Hope so.
I don't know if this would be easier if you wanted to talk about this later.
Probably, but I want the commission to know what's going on. Need to be up to speed.
Understand.
They get no questions. Oh, last side, and then I'll shut up. Overhead walkway,
God.
is that dead?
No, I do not think so. It'll continue to be something that, we explore, it'll continue to be, you will actually have the opportunity, I think, I think there will be an opportunity for the planning commission to make a statement about that next month, because you will be hopefully considering the capital improvements plan, so.
And you guys put out a request for, engineering or something along those lines for that whole I-35 section,
Yes.
which included looking at opportunities around that. Has that been completed?
That has not been completed yet, no.
Okay.
No, so what, Commissioner McConnell is talking about is, the city is working to put together a larger master plan, traffic master plan for the I-35 Shawnee Mission Parkway intersection in anticipation of, future, possible KDOT projects for that area. So that's one thing, and then again, as I mentioned, capital improvements program, CIP will be before you hopefully at the next meeting, and commission can certainly make statements and comments there on about, overhead walkway on Shawnee Mission Parkway.
So that, we're gonna be discussing the bridge, lanes past the bridge to the west, lanes down Shawnee Mission, Antioch.
That's part of the overall traffic, plan that, the city has been working on.
Can we get kind of a preliminary plan of that?
When it is done, we'll be happy to share, but they have not, they're still.
65%?
I don't even know if it's 65%, so they're still working on that.
Mid-America would get involved with that too,
I believe so, yeah, because then you do Operation Greenlight.
because there's gonna be a whole bunch of family involved, all that. Yeah. Statewide all the way out, so. Okay.
Mitch Fowler, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Sean McConnell, second.
Thank you, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting closed.
Have a nice one. I wish you guys the greatest prosperity and thanks. One day, that walkway. It needs to be just
never giving up.
It needs to be a Roman numeral item on the planning commission agenda, you know?
I know, it should.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been talking that one since I was on council.
The last meeting of the 5701 B2 committee was 2023, I believe. I just looked at my notes, and you were in there. This was in the community center, right? That's you.
Yeah, that's my bald head. That's
Glamour?
indistinguishable. Yeah, boy, that was a.
Decker?
Oh, yeah, that was the art committee.
No,
No, that was art committee.
This is art?
Yeah, this is art committee. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was never on the 5701.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's Lauren.
Okay, huh.
She's the only one. Yeah. That's the only one she's ever run in terms of a committee.
Alright.
All right, man. You have a good night, buddy. Thank you.
Good night.
You too.
Is over there, the new facilities. I don't know if you've ever noticed it. Yeah. Hey, Mitch.
Yes, sir.
Common.
You're welcome.
Stay,
I'll do all of our all the city's new storm drain improvements were put to the test here.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a heck of a storm, man. That was really nuts, but did okay. We got some things to improve, but it did all right.
And we had enough for warmer insurance for
Take care, Mitch.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you. Absolutely. You too. The package. I gotta get one more.
All right, man.
Mitch, you having a good night?
Yeah, so far so good.
The flood stuff in Merriam is happening outside.
Extends in an old armor of about 25 million. AC, right? Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's on the other side of the number. What's,
We're getting a little bit.
I worked with UCI. Johnny.
Heard the name, but he was before I got there.
Yeah, he's dead.
That-
About it. Larry, my house.
Worked with him when I entered that in 12, 13 there. He's retired.
He was,
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
And Gary was retired.
they're green.
It's not better since he retired, he was tired.
essentially, what you are. It's not,
All right, well, there we are. Planning Commission meeting. As quick as normal, so enjoy. Have a nice one.